Okay, so let's find a nice seat and let's make sure that we go ahead and sit forward in the chair a little bit today. So you can kind of just rock back and forth, one sit bone to the other. Just notice how that feels. And then you can start to make that action a little bit smaller. Until it's so subtle that it feels as though you're pressing into both sit bones evenly. Let's take the hands to the thighs and roll the shoulders out a few times. And roll forward. And roll back again. Or allow your shoulder blades to release down your back. So we're just finding this nice tall mountain pose, Tadasana. Allow your eyelids to close here. Inhale through your nose, fill up, and then a little pause at the top. Sigh the breath out, let it go. Ha. Again, smooth, full, deep inhale, little lift of your sternum. Feel that expansion of the rib cage, especially in the upper body. And sigh the breath out through your mouth. Ha. One more time like that. Smooth, deep, full inhale. And exhale the breath out. Ha. And then allow your lips to seal. And we're going to inhale through the nose and then also exhale through the nose. You might be practicing Ujjayi breath, so victorious breath. It's a strong breath. You constrict the sides of the throat a little bit, so that basically is that feeling that you get when you're fogging a mirror with your breath, except for that you're keeping the lips closed. So there's a little bit of sound. And some days this feels like a little too strenuous. If that's where you're at today, you just inhale and exhale through your nose, but you keep the throat nice and relaxed. You're bringing your attention to that sound of your breath. It will wander. That's fine. When you become aware of that, you recenter your attention. Some days it's really easy to drop into a quiet space. Some days it's a little more challenging. Just observe where you're at today and just accept where you're at today, especially if it's not looking the way you think it needs to. Just the act of trying, of efforting is really important. It's a big piece of our yoga practice. So let's just stay here like this, eyes closed, but allow your chin to start to drift down towards your chest. As your chin drifts down, do your shoulders drift up? Notice that if that's happening, just soften them down. Imagine that somebody's gently pressing down on your shoulders. This first little chin tuck of the day always can feel pretty intense. So you always back off a little bit if you need to. So we're always making little modifications with our practice every time we show up. We do the same poses over and over, but they're always slightly different. There's always different things going on with us physically, mentally. So we acknowledge that, we honor that. Again, keep your eyes closed, but just inhale, gently lift your chin. And as you exhale, drop your right ear towards your right shoulder. You're going to feel a stretch on that left side. If it's too intense, you back off a little bit. So you inhale, raise your head, and exhale. Drop that left ear towards your left shoulder so you start to feel some sensation on the right side of the neck. Notice how it's different than the other side. Send your exhale to any places that might be particularly tight or tender or sensitive. Good, and then let's inhale, head back up to center, and then let's move into some cat-cow here. So you can keep your hands back on your thighs, you can reach them forward a little bit, but as you inhale, you're gonna rock forward on your sit bones, find this cobra pose sensation in the upper body, and then as we exhale, we rock to the backs of the sit bones, we round in, so we're finding more of that cat stretch, that scaredy cat stretch. And then we're just going to continue like this. So really just generating this movement in the upper body, the spine. These cat-cows are such a great way to warm up the spine, to check in, to see how things are feeling. And the other little piece that's happening here is we're finding this idea of vinyasa, so connecting poses with breath in a very particular way. We start to find a little bit of rhythm in our bodies, a little bit of flow. And for many of us, this actually serves as a bit of a moving meditation. It actually helps us to quiet and focus the mind a little more as opposed to just being static in a pose. For some reason, it feels easier for the thoughts to kick up sometimes when we're stuck in a spot. So notice if any of that is true for you. Maybe moving like this helps to just waken the body and mind a little bit. So these cat-cows and sun salutes can be really great when we're feeling a little sleepy, a little lethargic. Let's do a few more rounds here, just holding with the breath, and then we're gonna hold each pose for several breaths. All right, so the next time you're inhaling, find that cow stretch. Maybe see if you can squeeze your elbows in towards the sides of your waist a little more so you get a little more widening across the collarbones. So definitely this is, similar to a camel pose or a cobra pose. So cobra pose traditionally is a belly back bend. So we're laying down on our belly and then extending forward. So really fantastic for strengthening the muscles in the back, which is a really important piece of a strong core. We often tend to overemphasize the front, but we want to engage these side muscles and these back muscles as well. So a couple more breaths. If you feel sensation in your lower back here, see if you can engage the legs a little more, even the glutes, the outer hips, kind of squeeze in. And then let's rock in the opposite direction. So coming into that thoracic stretch, that upper body stretch. So we're rounding the spine. This is more of a forward fold action. I feel this in the neck, the shoulders. Good. And then inhale, come back to your nice tall seat, your mountain pose. And then maybe just refresh your posture here. So glance down, make sure that you have that nice alignment, legs about hips distance apart, knees landing over your ankles. So sometimes what can happen is the ankles get behind the knee, which can actually be a nice stretch, but maybe not the best setup for our kind of our base here. And then let's go ahead and find a little hip stretching and awakening. It didn't say get a strap. If you do have one handy that's easy to get to, you might want to grab that, but you certainly don't need it. So I'll give you a second to find those. And we're essentially just going to use the strap, if you have one, as a little feedback. So we are going to come into our reclining pigeon pose as one option. So if it is available to you, and you can find this external rotation in the right leg, you can take that right ankle above the left knee. And of course, another variation for this would be to simply open up that right leg. So it's more of a warrior two leg situation. And then wherever you're at, if you would like to, I'm not sure if this is going to work. I didn't try this out. Might not work in this configuration. I think it will work if you're here, but you can simply take your strap, and you could use a belt or a tie, and you're going to just position it around your hips and maybe go slightly tighter than feels comfortable, just so you're getting a little feedback. So that idea, you might have to kind of slide it down around your buns a little bit, but the strap is helping you to squeeze everything in. So it almost feels, it's almost like giving you a little corset feeling. Yeah, so if you're in this variation that I'm doing, if there is any sensation in your knee, I definitely want you to flex your foot, even if that means using your left hand to help you find that action in your foot. For those of us that tend to be a little more open in the hips, you might find that pressing down on that right thigh gives you a little more stretch and sensation. If you're tighter in the hips, you're probably not going to need to do that. And same thing holds true. And if you're doing the warrior two legs, you might be getting, a stretch in the outer hip. I also find that I get a nice stretch on the inseam of the leg in this configuration. If you want a little more, you're gently pressing back with that right hand. I'll just give this a nice little hold here. And again, if you're using that strap, it's just giving you some feedback. It's reminding you to really engage outer hips. It's creating a little stability. And as those outer hips squeeze in, you might even find a little lift of the lower belly. Kind of draws in and up. It's like you're zipping up pants. And can you do that, but still find a softness in your belly as you're inhaling through your nose and exhaling through your nose? I'm asking a lot of things of you right now. You can just get one of them. You're doing great. Okay, so we're working this a little extra than we usually do. I want you to just relax. So you're not gripping and holding. And we're just going to take a few breaths here. We're going to keep this same configuration, but we're going to turn this into more of a tree pose. So balancing pose. We're going to keep kind of the same basic idea here. So in our tree pose, we're getting external rotation, and it's classically a balanced pose. So we're going to up the ante a little bit here. So wherever you're at, if you're warrior two legs or if you are in your reclining pigeon, again, go ahead and engage the outer hip so it feels like everything is squeezing into the midline. Or release your arms by your sides. And then we're going to inhale, grow our branches up. So if you're a little tighter in the shoulders, you're going to keep your arms in a pretty wide V shape. I want you to find that idea of cobra pose in your upper body. So that lift of your sternum up, even as your shoulder blades are releasing down. Maybe you start to bring your gaze up. Good. And then to challenge our balance here a little bit. So imagine that somebody is holding onto your right wrist. I want you to bring your gaze to your left fingertips. Keep the outer hip squeezing in a lot. And then you're going to start to extend that left arm off to the left. But you're going to track with your eyes. And you might find that you sway a little bit. Might even get a little dizzy. Beautiful work. And then we're going to release down. And then let's go ahead and then go ahead and release that grip of your hip. So you're kind of just letting everything relax. Let's find a forward fold here. So blocks, if you have them, can be really nice. You can also just rest hands on legs and forward fold. But again, if your hips are a little more accessible, just coming into this forward fold variation is going to intensify things a little bit. Blocks can be nice. And if you are on blocks and you are in this reclining pigeon version, you might actually bring that left hand to the inside of that right foot, and you could hook it around your arm and then kind of squeeze in. So a little arm balance prep pose. You can tell everybody you arm balanced in yoga today. Most of my arm balances are just in my mind. It's hard. These look good. And just bring your attention to that outer right hip. Notice how when you forward fold any amount, the sensations shift. Couple more breaths here. All right, as you inhale, you're gonna slowly make your way up. And then just find your Tadasana, your mountain pose. And let's just do a few sun salutes before we take that sequence to the second side to just kind of find a little flow here. So again, you can have your block set up for when we fold into our Uttanasana and our Ardha Uttanasana. Feel both sit bones really press here. If you have that strap on, you can still keep it, and that might even help remind you here to keep those legs really active. Here we go. As we inhale, we stretch arms out and up. You could also reach forward and up. And then as we exhale, you're going to make your way down. So you could reverse swan dive in. You could use your hands to help you roll in. So you come all the way in, find that cat stretch feeling, chin towards chest. As you inhale, you can take hands to blocks or shins or thighs. This is our cobra pose feeling here, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, we fold back in. And then inhale, you can use your hands to help you roll up. You can reverse swan dive out, especially if you're feeling strong in your core, if you want to work that a little bit. As you exhale, you can take your arms out wide, or you can bring palms down heart center. And let's do 2 more of these. Inhale, reach up, Utthita Hastasana into Dasana, extended mountain. As we exhale, we fold into Uttanasana, so our deep forward fold. Beautiful work. We inhale into our Ardha Uttanasana. Ardha is half, so our half forward fold. Exhale back into Uttanasana. And then rooting into sit bones, into feet, feeling really anchored. So we can take up space as we rise up into our extended mountain, Utthita Hastasana into Dasana. And exhaling, Samastitihi, even standing. 1 more, I'm not going to cue you this time, just move with your breath. You are free to close your eyes if that feels good and you feel safe and stable. And again, maybe just bringing a little extra focus to those outer hips, perhaps working them more than you might usually. Using that strength of those muscles to help you find stability and groundedness. And let me just pause for a moment. Maybe close your eyes if they're not already. Do a little check-in. Notice how you're feeling. You're going to come into our second side, which could look different than the first side. So you might need to readjust your strap a little bit, especially getting in. So you might need to loosen it and then find that external rotation, whatever that looks like. So it could be a warrior 2 leg. You could be doing something different on this side if that feels better for your body. You might also come into your reclining pigeon. And then again, kind of adjust the strap. I almost have mine a little bit underneath my buns, and then I'm pulling in. So the strap is just giving me that nice feedback. And it's helping me to engage those outer hips a little more. You might gently press down on that left thigh. You might just need to press the tiniest amount before the ante gets upped. And let's do a little check-in with our breath. So you've got that inhale through your nose, that exhale through your nose. You're trying to relax the parts of your body that don't need to be involved in this hip stretch. So this, if things are intense in one area, sometimes we find tension in other areas almost without being aware that it's happening. So there could be tension in the face, jaw. The shoulders always love to get involved. Let's do 3 or 4 more breaths here with this really active orientation in the pose. That extra attention to the outer hips, working into the midline, giving you that support. Good. And then you're going to stay in the same configuration, but you're going to let everything relax a little bit. So you're not working those outer hips quite as much. You can stop pressing down on that left thigh. And we're going to revisit that Vrikshasana tree pose again. So standing leg here. We're going to call it our right leg. So you're really rooting down into that foot, that sit bone, even if you're in your warrior two legs. And then engage again. Everything squeezes into the midline. You're going to feel your lower belly pull in and up. Release the arms down by your sides. And then inhale, stretch the arms out and up. So growing your tree branches. Breath smooth and steady. Maybe you start to bring your gaze up so you find that cobra feeling in your upper body, or that Ustrasana camel feeling. And then just imagine that as somebody is holding you steady from your left wrist, even as you root down into that standing leg, that right foot, bring your eyes, your gaze to your right fingers. And then you start to extend that arm slowly off to the side as you track with your eyes. You might sway a little bit. Beautiful. Let's go ahead and release down. And again, we're going to come into a little forward fold here. So could be the tiniest amount. You can use this left leg as your little shelf, your little more open in the hips at this stage of the game. Maybe you take your hands to blocks, and also just know that you can always change the height of blocks. So it's like you have 3 different levels of bringing the floor closer to you. Then finally, if you are in this configuration and you wanted to bring that right hand to the inside of your left foot, kind of squeeze that foot in. So a little arm balance prep. What's going on with the breath here? It looks like the next batch of Denver storms is rolling in as we speak. I'm feeling grateful I'm not on reserve today because my phone would be ringing right now. Beautiful. As you inhale, go ahead and make your way up. And we come back to our Tadasana. And then again, feel free to keep the strap if you're liking it. It's like almost becoming a part of me at this stage of the game. If you want to lose it, you're welcome to, or just loosen it. So let's release that side with a little side to side lateral flow. So you can release your arms down. So we're going to get into those side muscles now, which is also really important to work and to strengthen and to open up. So as you inhale, take that left arm up and over, side stretching, and then exhale, release. Inhale, up and over, reaching to the left. As you anchor into the right sit bone, exhale, release down. And then you just continue like this, flowing with your breath. We all might be going a slightly different pace. That's absolutely fine. You are really listening to your own internal metronome. And again, we're just going to do several rounds here to each side, and then we'll hold each side. You might be gazing up and under the arm that's lifted up if it feels okay. It might just feel better to keep your gaze forward, especially when we're flowing like this. Beautiful work. So the next time you're reaching off to your right side, you're just going to hold there. Notice if your left sit bone is getting light. Maybe back out a little bit. Anchor down into that left sit bone, but that might help you to find more of that stretching through that left side. Notice if that right shoulder is up in your ear, soften it down. Maybe you're bringing your gaze up underneath that top arm. Might be a little easier here when we're static, when we're holding the pose. Good exhale, release. And then inhale, right arm reaches up and over. And again, make sure that you're pressing fairly even into both sit bones. That left one's going to be slightly heavier probably, but bring a little more gravitas into that right one. And then use that anchoring sensation there to help you find this really lovely stretch through the right side of your body. Maybe you're gazing up underneath that top arm. Good. Exhale, release down. Let's roll those shoulders out again. All right, so let's come into Nustrasana camel pose. So I'm gonna just switch my orientation on the chair. And if you did lose your strap and you wanted to take it around your hips again, this could actually be some nice feedback for this pose. I'm gonna go ahead and tighten mine up again. So we're basically in our camel pose. So you're sitting slightly forward on the chair, knees or over your ankles. And I want you to find that idea of outer hips engaging, squeezing in, and it'll feel like you're releasing your tailbone down. Feel that lift of the sternum. Let's all bring our hands to our hips, kind of that place where the strap is. And then you're squeezing your elbows in. You're going to notice you're already getting a little lift of the sternum up towards the ceiling. You're just keeping your gaze forward, nice and easy. And then maybe you can just imagine that you're laying back over like a beach ball. So there's this wheel in your heart that is spinning, spinning, spinning up towards the ceiling. You might bring your gaze up. You might even start to release your head. This doesn't feel good for everybody. So if you feel like you can't breathe here, maybe you skip this. Can you keep those shoulder blades releasing down, even a tiny amount? Beautiful. Go ahead and inhale, come back up. So again, we're working these muscles in the back of the body. So this helps to build that strength for a strong core. Let's do one more of these camel poses. Okay, so if you like this option of hands on outer hips, squeezing in, elbow squeezing in, for a lot of us this feels really good. You can stay there. You're also welcome to bring palms towards heart center if you'd like, and then you could actually physically touch your thumbs to your sternum, and then I want you to think about growing your sternum into your thumbs. So just another way of kind of finding that idea of getting the spinning wheel in the thoracic, leaning back over that beach ball. And for most of us, we're pretty tight in the upper body. It's hard to back bend here. Maybe again, you're starting to gaze up any amount. Perhaps even releasing the head back, assuming that feels safe in your body. Feel those sit bones, feel those outer hips squeezing in. Good. As you inhale, slowly roll up to your tall seat. Just take a few breaths. So let's play a little bit. Let's find a little bit of that feeling, but let's do it in our eagle pose. So let's go ahead. I'm going to stay in this configuration, and then I'll turn a little bit too in a moment. But let's go ahead and walk your left foot off to the right a little bit. So just pick it up and move it if you need to, and then take your right thigh over that left leg. And then maybe cinch up your strap a little more. So again, we have that idea of outer thigh squeezing in, but with the legs like this, you can also feel the inner thighs squeezing in towards each other. Good. So just turn forward like this. So legs are like this. Everything is squeezing into the midline. So a lot of strength in the outer body happening today. Let's inhale, take the arms out wide. And you're going to give yourself a hug. We're going to take that right arm underneath. Good. So elbows can stack. And then they gently lift. And I'm going to come back this way. So I want you to find that camel pose again. I want you to think of growing your sternum up towards your elbows, even as you're gently lifting your elbows. And I don't know about all of you, but with my arms like this, I'm feeling a little more stretch across the backs of the shoulders, kind of right underneath the shoulder blades. Finally, again, you can start to bring your gaze up, maybe release your head back. So this is like a little camel pose with an eagle pose variation. Beautiful. Go ahead and release. Roll those arms out. And we'll come to that second side. So find your nice mountain pose, Tadasana. And then I think it helps to just bring that right leg slightly to the left. So just centering it a little more. And then cross that left thigh over. And then the legs are working a lot. Outer hips are squeezing in. So your strap might be helping to facilitate that. But then maybe you can also find a little idea of those inner thighs squeezing. So super active legs. You can feel your sit bones really pressing here. Tailbone is lengthening down. Nice inhale, take the arms out wide. Give yourself that hug this time. Left arm comes underneath, and we're just keeping it really basic with the arms. So elbows stack and they lift. But then you think about lifting your sternum up towards the elbows. It's like one is chasing the other. Maybe you bring your gaze up. Maybe you lean your head back. Keep working the legs a lot. Check in with your breath. Good. One more deep inhale. Full exhale. And then as you inhale, just gently roll up, release hands, roll shoulders again, maybe come forward this time. Nice work. All right. So I think after that, just a nice simple twist is going to feel really good. So we're going to just keep it really basic. Okay, so find your mountain pose, knees over ankles. As you inhale, take the arms out wide. As you exhale, twist to the right. Take a couple breaths here. Really reach out through your fingers. Feel shoulder blades release down your back. And then as you exhale, release that left hand either to the outside of that right leg. It might come to the inside. Just kind of gauging what feels best for you today. And think camel pose here in this twist. So open across your heart and chest, gentle lift of your sternum. You can even think those outer thighs squeezing in a little bit. And then maybe you move towards bringing your gaze out over that right shoulder. Good, deep inhale. As you exhale, you unwind, you come to center. Beautiful, inhale, take the arms out wide. And we exhale, we twist to the left. So just a few breaths here in this configuration. Already thinking of those right ribs really wrapping to the left. So you press evenly into both sit bones. And then just release, hands down. That front hand can be a couple of different places. You see what feels best in your body. Feel your shoulder blades squeeze in towards each other. So it's facilitating that action of the sternum lifting, a little camel pose or cobra pose feeling in the upper body. It is kind of interesting. There's like so many similarities, so many repeats in all of the poses. They're like just variations on a theme. Perhaps you're moving towards bringing your gaze out over that left shoulder. Good, deep inhale. And exhale, unwind, come to center. So before we move towards our final resting pose, Shavasana, let's just work with our Viloma breath. So that's our 3-part breath with little retentions on the inhale. So this is a nice breath to do if you are feeling a little lethargic. Of course, most of us are practicing right now. It's 2 or 3. So you can kind of get that, afternoon slump. So this is a good thing that you can do on your own if you need a little pick-me-up. So go ahead and close your eyes here. And take a nice deep inhale through the nose. And a full complete exhale through the nose. And then feel completely empty. Feel your lower belly pull in and up a little bit at the end of that exhale. And then go ahead and inhale the breath up towards your belly button. Pause the breath. And then inhale another third of the way. So you're just going to inhale to those lower ribs, those floating ribs, and you're going to pause. And you're going to inhale all the way up under your collarbone. So you're going to feel that lift of your sternum. Pause the breath. And then turn the breath around. Exhale through your nose, completely empty out. And then just take a few cycles of easy breath. And kind of let that go. And maybe notice how it felt. So the first round can always be like, a little jarring sometimes. Maybe this breath isn't working for you today. So perhaps you just choose to skip it and you're moving more towards a just, quiet, seated meditation, easy breath. Maybe you want to try another round here. So again, smooth, full, deep inhale. Empty the breath out. So exhale through your nose. Little pause at the bottom. And then inhale 1/3 of the way up. Pause. Notice if you're getting tense in your shoulders, soften them down. Inhale another 1/3 of the way up. Pause the breath. And then inhale all the way up underneath your collarbones. Just notice how infused with kind of untapped potential and energy this hold comes with, and then slowly exhale the breath through your nose. And just take a few recovery rounds. We're going to move into one more round of our Viloma I breath if you want to join. If you've had enough, you can start to make your way into your Shavasana. Otherwise, let's inhale together. And exhale through the nose together. A little pause at the bottom. Inhale 1/3 of the way up. Hold. Inhale another 1/3 of the way up. Hold the breath. And inhale all the way up underneath your collarbones. Little pause. And slowly exhale the air out through your nose. And then return to nice, normal, easy breathing. And find a final resting pose. So some form of Shavasana, state of mind as much as anything. So you could just stay exactly where you're at. If you wanted to find a forward fold, that can be really nice if there's a table or a chair in front of you. If you want to come into classic Shavasana on the floor, you're certainly welcome to do that. Let go of controlling your breath here. Let your body, your muscles, your bones feel really easy. And mostly just soak up these final moments of stillness together. And take rest. Asato ma satgamaya. Tamasoma joy tirgamaya. Mrityomamritam gamaya. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. And take a deeper inhale. And open your mouth, sigh the breath out, ha. And then bring a little movement back to your body, whatever that looks like. So wiggle, stretch, circle. Just kind of see what you need here. And just bringing your awareness back to your physical form. Good. And then you're going to eventually land with your hands in a pile on top of your heart. So send yourself love and gratitude. Send your body love and gratitude. Send each other love and gratitude. And just acknowledge that it's a real gift to work like this, to move like this, to support each other. Finally, just promise yourself you're going to carry this good feeling you worked so hard to create with you into the rest of the day, week, weekend ahead. And finally, just bow your head with a smile. Good, beautiful work today, everybody. Great to see you. Thank you.